Back to the Coach Patilla Show. Welcome back. We got Coach Grimes here, and we're filming live again from Transformations Barbershop at 1479 South Hawkins Boulevard, home of the $8 haircut every Tuesday. Hey, we're still getting deep into this conversation. I mean, we've taken assaulting high school players, I think, further than I imagined that we would. But at this time, we like to find out if we have any questions out there at the barbershop.
My name is Charles Prayer. I have a question. And my question is to Coach Grimes. And my question is to ask him to be more specific about what he means by the term of hands on a child. Because a coach trying to just to get a child's attention may have just grabbed him by the hand or pull him close or say, look at me or what. But I'm not for anyone who's going to do anything violent, but just wanting to be more specific about hands-on.
Well, thank you, Deacon Freer, for giving me the opportunity, first of all, to elaborate. That's right. You probably should elaborate on that hands-on part. What I meant to say was there's no reason for a coach to put his hands on a player in an abusive way. I know sometimes, as coaches, we have to provide guidance for our kids. Sometimes we just put that nurturing hand on the back of the shoulder. Sometimes we just pat them and let them know that, you're doing a good job. But, I was more referring to the abusive coach, and we all know. And unfortunately, we grew up with that. Coaching back in the 70s is a lot different than coaching, right now. Right now that you don't have to worry about just losing your job. You don't worry about a lawsuit if you're not doing things correctly. So just making sure that we understand that, I say there's no reason to put your hands on a kid. I meant in an abusive way because, unfortunately, we hear about it all too often, where, coaches, are getting in trouble, at all levels. Not just the high school or youth level, but even, in college. We just had 2 coaches fired in the last 2 or 3 years, for actually physically, per se, assaulting a player. And it's just, there's no room in sports for that, because it's abusive. And just like I mentioned earlier, when kids grow up experiencing abuse, they tend to be more abusive themselves as they grow up into their later years and into their adult years. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes.
There's obviously a huge malpractice that's going on in the coaching profession. I think we're evolving, obviously, from where we were in the 70s and moved closer in the 80s and the 90s, and now we're in the 21st century. And as coaches, we have to ask ourselves, I think, am I really making a difference in this young man's life? Does he know what his role is on the football field? Whether he's actually performing or he's on the sideline and his job is to support his players, or his job is to maybe he's a more smarter kid on the team and he's going to tell a kid, hey man, make sure you do this and do that on and off the field. I mean, there's a malpractice that's going on in the coaching profession, and I think it's very important that all you coaches out there, all you parents out there, make sure your coaches are getting the type of training that they need. Make sure their heart's in the right place. And equally as important, I think it's that they're mature men. They may be great fathers, they may be great husbands, but when it comes to actually coaching the sport, I think they need to take a real deep look at if they're ready to deal with all the pressure, all the emotion, all the responsibility that comes into being a great high school football coach. Hey, I'm Coach Patilla. I am the author of Guide to Athletic Recruiting and Career Education. Get your copy at noblesteps.com or just go to the Akron Public Library and rent it yourself for free. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in. Next week's show is going to be just as good as this show or better as we talk about athletic recruiting at the high school level. Athletic recruiting is huge, especially for your single mothers out there, for your parents who your kid is his first year going from the high school to college and he'll be the first kid to go and you don't know what's going on. How should I handle this? What's the best way to go about this? As an education consultant, hey, it is my pleasure to hold a show like that. So tune in next week, and thank you for tuning in this week. And Coach Grimes, hey man, I appreciate you so much.
Always a pleasure, Coach. Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have you. Thanks again for tuning in to the Coach Patilla Show. You have a great week, and if you want to know more about what goes on at Noble Steps Management. Just go to noblesteps.com and check us out. Thank you.